This session is on exam information for 1001 EHR, Work and Employability. The objective of this session is to understand the structure and expectations for the final exam. So the exam structure, the content is from topics weeks 4 till 11 inclusive. The length of the exam is 2 hours. You do have 10 minutes perusal time, in which time you can actually write on the exam question paper only. Okay, it's a great opportunity to use this extra 10 minutes perusal time to make some notes on the question paper. The value of the exam is worth 40 marks or 40%. It's a closed book, however non-electronic dictionaries are allowed. The format is a combination of multiple choice and short answers, and make sure that you bring your ID and writing material. Section A of the exam consists of multiple choice questions and is worth 20 marks. So students are required to answer all 40 multiple choice questions, and the questions are a similar format to what you would have experienced with the online quiz in week 4. So each question is worth half a mark, and the content of these questions are from topics 4 to 11 inclusively. So I would aim for about an hour for part A and be mindful of the time. Section B consists of short answer questions, a total of 20 marks. Students are required to only answer 4 questions. Okay, so you'll get a possible 8 questions. You only need to choose 4. Each question is worth 5 marks, and the content of these questions are from topics 4 to 11 inclusively. Again, aiming for about 1 hour for part B, which is about 15 minutes per question. Okay, so the short answer topics, there's 8 topics for the short answer questions. So again, from topics 4 through to 11. So in the short answer questions, there will be 1 question on each of these 8 topics. Again, you only need to choose 4 of these. Please make sure that you don't answer more than 4. Tutors will not mark your best 4, they will only choose the first 4. So if for some reason you decide to answer 5 or 6, make sure that you cross out the 1 or the 2 that you do not want marked. Okay, so in answering your short answer questions, this is the type of format that you should follow. So you firstly need to make sure that you answer the descriptive part of the question. So provide the definitions or describe the elements or the concepts that are being asked in the question. It's a good idea to sort of separate this section out clearly in the first paragraph, for example. The second part, you need to make sure that you provide examples to demonstrate your knowledge of the concept, the topic. Again, I would make it really clear by providing a separate paragraph with your example. So here's a practice short example. So you might have to discuss the importance of recruitment, so that's one part of the question, and outline perhaps 2 external and 2 internal methods of recruitment. And then you'll always get a prompt to ask you or to remind you to use examples to further explain your answer. Okay, so there's technically 3 parts to that question. A key is also making sure that you answer all parts of the question, but also that you answer the question correctly. Okay, so students will often highlight, underline some of the key words here to make sure or to help guide them through answering the question. So the importance of recruitment is a key element. The fact that you're needing to look at the external and the internal methods of recruitment, as well as provide those examples. So again, this question has 3 parts. The importance of recruitment, outlining 2 external and 2 internal methods, as well as the examples. Okay, so you can have a look at this answer here. Again, there are slightly different variations in terms of how you could answer this question, particularly in terms of using different internal or external recruitment methods. But again, it's sort of very clearly outlined and clearly answering the question given. Okay, so Some exam tips. One, making sure that you read the question carefully. So often we find that students run into problems because they don't read the question carefully and they actually end up providing a great answer, but it doesn't actually answer the question. So again, underlining, using your highlighter to make sure that you can guide you through the question. Making sure that you answer all parts. So all the short answer questions will have approximately 3 parts. Making sure that if you want to, outline, use an outline, draw a diagram to help you with the question. Okay, particularly if you run out of time, it's fine to use some sort of diagram, perhaps to use sort of dot points, just to sort of help enhance your answer of that question. It is really critical to reinforce your knowledge with examples. Okay, so throughout the course, when reading the topics, when learning about some of the theory, making sure that you can relate these to examples of your own experiences, or perhaps your friends, your families, or perhaps using examples from the course. Okay, so it's not just about the descriptive element of describing a theory or what is a theory. It's actually looking more at how does this apply in the workplace. Including some of the words in the question helps to actually keep you focused. Sort of still being mindful in terms of formatting, trying to only use one idea per paragraph, trying to write clearly, trying to perhaps use a bit of spacing, again, to help you in terms of your structure of your answer, but also it helps the marker in terms of clearly see what you're trying to articulate in your answer. Being clear and concise, and definitely keeping an eye on time. Okay, so like I said earlier, section A, it's worth 20 marks, which is half the exam, so you'd obviously only want to spend about an hour on section A. Okay, if you haven't finished the multiple choice, it's important then to move on to the short answer questions, and then perhaps if you've got time, go back and finish the multiple choice. Okay, and vice versa, perhaps you might decide to start with the short answer questions first, which is fine. So there's obviously no need to reference any material in the exam. We don't expect you to cite. Okay, so obviously it is your own words. You're welcome to use first person when providing examples. So again, it's really important that you only answer 4 of the short answer questions. Don't try and answer them all. The tutors will not mark them all. They won't mark your best 4. They will just mark the first 4. Okay, so cross any answers out that you do not want marked. Again, using that 10 minutes perusal time to make notes, draw diagrams that might help you out as you move through the exam. Also just an admin sort of note to make sure that you check the exam details, the time, location, the day before, just in case there's been any changes. Making sure you leave early for the exam, taking into consideration traffic and parking, mainly to reduce your sort of stress and anxiety on the exam day. Okay, so there's through the your student portal, you can access the exam details. Again, just sort of double checking some of these administration sort of details to really just sort of reduce the stress and so forth on that day. Okay, so I want to wish you all the best for the exam. Thank you.